Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Shakshurumiritam Yinam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gaurave Gurachandaya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Reading from Vedanta Sutra, 4th chapter, 3rd part. So we see all the 3rd part, and next time will be the last sutra of Vedanta Sutra. So now we're seeing the part that is called Gati Pada. Gati Pada means the path to liberation. Gati means actually the way. So the first sutra of this pada is Achir Anida Tat Pratite. The path of non-return begins with light. This is well known. Yeah? This Achiradi path. There's the funeral pyre, there's fire, and then the self-realized soul from there goes to the light, Archi. And from light he goes to the day, and then to the 6th month. We have talked about this last time, and to the sun, to the moon. There's a door inside the sun. He goes to the other world of brahmalok. So from there, there's Ativaika Devata. This is a god that is appointed by the Lord. Ativaika means appointed by the Lord. A divine being also, Amanaya Purusha. A divine being comes and leads the self-realized soul to Brahma. So now the question is, in the Upanishad, the words is brahmalok. What is this brahmalok? Is it the abode of Brahman? Or is it the planet called Brahmaloka, the planet of Brahma? So Sutra 7 says, Karyam Bhadarir Asya Gati Upapate. According to Badari Rishi thinks that the self-realized soul goes to the manifest Brahma. Manifest Karya Brahma. The gods, the presiding deities like Agni, Vayu, Varuna, lead the self-realized soul to Karya Brahman. Karya means made or manifest. It designates Iranya Garbha or Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, the god of creation. In a neuter gender, we have Brahman. Brahman is in the neuter gender, and Brahma with a long A is masculine gender and designates the Lord of creation, the God, Chaturmukha, 4-faced Brahma. Sometimes people get confused because actually the words are coming from the same root, just like also the priest called Brahmana, and also the books called Brahmana, also same thing, comes from Brahma. Brahmana is someone who has actually studied and know Brahman. Brahmana, the book Brahmana is explaining Brahman, which is sometimes also equated to the Veda. You see, in Sanskrit, one word can have many meanings. We've seen also the word Atman. Atman can mean the soul, can mean the body, can mean the mind, can mean the intellect, can mean also the Paramatma. So how do we know? According to context. And it is understood that because Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, is close to the Brahman. Brahman being a being. He's the supreme being, or this impersonal force. He can be the Lord Paramatma, Brahman. But because Brahma, as being self-born and is very close to Brahman, he's called Brahma, or Karya Brahman, the Brahman that is manifested. So Badari, he's saying giving one opinion. And he's explaining that after the death of Brahma, after 100 years of his lifetime, Brahma goes to the spiritual world and all self-realized souls, they go along with him. Of course, they all go merge into Mahavishnu. But this is what they call liberation. Badari Rishi. Now there's another Rishi called Gemini. Gemini is a disciple of Vyasadeva. Param Geminir Mukyatvat. Param means supreme. See, there's no even a verb in these sutras. Param Geminir Mukyatvat. It's always in an ablative form because of, on account of, Mukya. Mukya vritti means primary. Primary meaning. Param. So he's saying, no, this is not Karya Brahma. It is Param Brahma. Gemini says, so we have to put the verbs because there's no verbs. Gemini says it is Param. On account or because, this is the ablative ending, at Mukya. Mukya vritti means direct meaning. So here we understand that sutras can have a debate. There's a debate inside, that there are different rishis even before Vyasadeva that were discussing these things, and they disagree. Yeah, it comes back a few times in the Vedanta Sutra, in the first chapter, here in the fourth chapter, third part, and also later on we'll see again in the fourth chapter, fourth part, again different rishis disagreeing, and sometime advancing some philosophy close to Shankaracharya, sometime close to Ramanujacharya, sometime close to Beda Abeda. And so we have two theories. Badari is saying that the soul, he goes to the light, then to the day, then to the 6th month of the sun, traveling, I think is towards the northern part, and then to the sun, and to the moon, and to brahmalok. And the one theory is that this brahmalok means the world of the Lord Brahma. And at the end of his life, they are all liberated with him, and they go to the Supreme Brahman. And Gemini is saying, no, this Brahman, that the Amanaya Purusha, this angelic being, the divine being, he takes the self-realized soul directly to Parabrahma, which means Vaikunta, if you want. If you want to simplify, Vaikunta is Brahmalok. So now Badarayana, who is actually, this is the name of the Sutra Kara. Kara, the one who makes the Sutra, Vyasadeva, his name is Badarayan, and he's giving the Siddhanta Sutra, the right conclusion, saying that actually they are both right in their own terms. He says, Badarayana, I don't have the Sanskrit here. Okay, for some reason I didn't write the Sanskrit, but the translation is that both are right and both are wrong. He's saying there's fault on both sides, but they are actually right, because one is talking about karamamukti, which is gradual liberation. Another one is talking about sadhya mukti, which is immediate liberation. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, it is also described, these two paths. In the second canto, there's a description how the yogi leaves this world. He takes the life air in two different chakra, goes all the way to the Brahmarandra, and from the Brahmarandra leave the prana. The prana leaves and goes directly to liberation. This is called sadhya mukti, direct liberation. He's directly liberated. He goes into brahmalok or Vishnupad. Sometimes they call it Vishnupad, which is Vaikuntha Loka. We have the story also of Dhruva Maharaj. Last time we spoke about Dhruva Maharaj, how he doesn't even go through these stages. The Vishnu Dutta comes from the sky and they take him in an airplane and he goes to Dhruvaloka, which is the North Star, not the North Pole, but the North Star. And then there's a description of karamamukti, also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Karama means progressive. If he wants, the yogi can go by the hole in the head, which is called Brahmarandra, and goes to the Siddhas. They are perfect beings who fly in the sky in airplanes, and they're called Siddhas, and he can visit higher planets. Above Swarga, above Indraloka, he can go to Mahaloka. And Mahaloka is full of Prajapati, very elevated sage who have performed many sacrifices, live there. But at the end of Brahma's day, the three worlds, Bhur, Bhurva, Swa, they get destroyed by this fire. And so it gets so hot, even in Mahaloka, that the inhabitants, they take their airplanes and they go to higher realms, which is Tapaloka, Janaloka. And from there they can go all the way to Satyaloka, which is also called Brahmaloka, the place of Brahman. And at the end of Brahma, then they are liberated with Brahma. They can go to Vaikuntha. They cross over the Viraj river. It is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada, he's writing in his purport that less intelligent transcendentalists, they desire to take their time. They're going to visit, they play like tourists instead of going straight. Like suppose you're going to Vrindavan and you have a ticket which stop over in different places for some reason, and you decide before you're going to Vrindavan, you're going to visit a little bit this country and that country, and this place in India, going to Goa, go to the beach, and then go to different places before reaching Vrindavan. You're going to waste a lot of time and money and energy. And so similarly, some transcendentalist yogis, they decide, I'm going to visit Mahaloka. I heard so many nice things about Mahaloka and Janaloka and Tapaloka and Brahmaloka, and after that I will be liberated. Actually, this is the story of Gopakumar in Brihad Bhagavatamritam. He's always looking for higher places of worship. First he goes to different places on earth. He finds that to be the king of Jagannath Puri, after different places he has been the king of Jagannath Puri, it's going to be very satisfying. So he becomes the king, he takes care of Jagannath, but he finds out that there's a higher realm, Indraloka. In Swarga they worship Upendra. Upendra, he actually took birth there, and so he decides to go to Indraloka and he becomes Indra himself, so he can be close to Upendra. But then he see also some, he hears that there's a higher place, Mahaloka. So he goes to Mahaloka. And when he goes to Mahaloka, then there's these four little beings called the Kumaras. They come, and he's very surprised because all the Prajapati worship those four little kids in the form, they're sages in the form of little children. And he's asking, who are they? And they say, well, they come from Tapalok. And so he goes to Tapalok, Janalok. He's instructed by the Kumaras and other yogis to meditate on the Lord, but he's still not satisfied, so he wants to go higher. So he goes to Brahmaloka, and arriving in Brahmaloka, then he sees that Brahma is worshipping Vishnu with 1,000 heads, 1,000 of legs, 1,000 of hands, and he wants to have the darshan. So eventually Brahma leaves his post, and the post is vacant, and he becomes in the position of Brahma. And so he ruled this universe, but he's still not satisfied. And he hears that actually there's a higher place called Vaikuntha. And before going to Vaikuntha, he goes to Shivaloka. He goes to the place where Shiva lives, and Shiva tells him there's a place called Vaikuntha. He goes to Vaikuntha. And in this way, this is called karamamukti, indirect liberation or step-by-step liberation. So this is described here in the Vedanta Sutra. In a nutshell, it is described how there are two paths. Then there's this last sutra in this part, Vishesham Shadarashayati. There's also a special situation. Vishesha means special. And Srila Bharadev Vidyabhushana, our Acharya, Vedanta Acharya in our line, he says that actually for the Nirapeksha, we talk about the Nirapeksha devotee who is above rules and regulation, he's in Raganuga Bhakti, then those paths don't apply. He doesn't need to go either step by step or go by the Arshiradi path, by the light, by the day, by the moon, the sun. He's directly liberated by Vishnu. And this is the special, Vishesha, Darshayati, has been seen, Darshan. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, for those who dedicate all their action to me, who meditate and worship me only with Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. And you have this beautiful picture in the Bhagavad Gita of Vishnu and Garuda lifting up. Vishnu is like this with his hand, and the devotees in the samsara, in the big ocean of samsara. And so Vishnu is delivering his devotees. So this is the illustrating this verse saying, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. And Srila Bharadev Vidyabhushana, he quotes this verses from Bhagavad Gita. He also quotes verses from Gopal Tapani Upanishad, and he describes in this Gopal Tapani Upanishad how the Gopal mantra fulfills all desires. And this is exactly what Gopa Kumara is using. He's using the Gopal mantra to go. This is what we recite in the Gayatri mantra. Before the Kama Gayatri, there's a Gopal mantra. The word Gopal doesn't appear in that mantra. It's more like Govinda and Krishna. But nevertheless, this mantra helps one to fulfill all desires. It fulfills the deepest aspiration in mankind. And so that's how Gopakumar is going from one place to the next and becoming king, becoming Indra, becoming Brahma. So I told he goes all the way to Vaikuntha. And in Vaikuntha, still he's not satisfied. He's feeling some separation from the Lord. He doesn't see the Lord long enough. And Narada Muni comes and he's surprised. He says, how come? This is the first time I see someone who is not satisfied in Vaikuntha. What is wrong with you? And he revealed his heart. And actually, it happens that he's a little Gopa. Gopa Kumara, he's a little Gopa. And his relationship with Krishna is that one of Sakya. He's a Sakya with Krishna. And so eventually he goes to Goloka Vrindavan. He meets his guru. Regularly he comes back on earth, meets his guru, but every time his guru disappears, and eventually he comes to Goloka Vrindavan, and Krishna seeing him, he embraced Gopakumar saying, you have come. I've been waiting for you for so long. You have come. Like a dear friend. And this Brihar Bhagavatamritam tried to illustrate that we have a specific rasa, a specific bond with Krishna. We have a specific bhava, sthayi bhava, which is fixed. And until and unless we discover this, we will never be satisfied, even if we reach Vaikuntha. What to speak of Brahmaloka, Indraloka, all these places wonderful in the material world, we will never be satisfied, even if we go to Vaikuntha, if our rasa is in Goloka Vrindavan. So this is called Vishesha, specific. The devotee doesn't have to practice all this yoga and going from one chakra to the other, Brahmarandra, going directly to Brahman or karamamukti, because he only absorbs himself in meditation on Radha Krishna, and according to what he meditates, his next life he's going to carry on in the same mood. Krishna will take Yogamaya, will make sure that this person will take birth in Krishna Lila. We will talk about this next time. Thank you. Banjakalpa tarubhyacha kripa sindhu bhyo vacha patitaram pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.